Omar region will have 300 voting delegates to elect new leaders. Atim Tongana joins us now from the conference. Ati, lovely to catch up with you again this afternoon. Little progress earlier on. Has a conference begun in earnest?
Yes, Hugo, it is underway, and it's interesting that the president of the African National Congress, President Cyril Ramaphosa, on the other hand, is talking about and conceding to the issue of service delivery, and the party as a governing party not entirely meeting up to the promises that they've made. Here in the Western Cape, we heard the provincial secretary lambasting the particular region, which is the biggest region in the Western Cape, the Dullah Omar region. This is the Central Cape Metro region. It comes with many communities that you might have seen on the news with regards to issues of service delivery and the lack thereof. I'm talking about communities like Khayelitsha. I'm talking about communities like Mitchell's Plain and Manenberg right now, where they're currently being plagued with gang violence. But of course, the other issue then that I want us to bring to the fore here, Hugo, is the issue of voter apathy insofar as young people are concerned. I have Athenkosi Hashe from the Youth League of the ANC. A lot of young people are really despondent. The other day we were at the University of the Western Cape, where the Deputy President of the ANC, Paul Mashatile, was hosting a coalition dialogue, and on the sidelines students were saying to us that, well, we're not interested in voting because really, what difference is it going to make? So when you hear that from young people as someone in the Youth League, what is your reaction?
I think that's quite concerning, hearing that from young people, because it speaks about how we look into the future of the country. And if young people specifically don't actively participate within voting processes, that means that the processes will always be marred by old people, and it means that leadership will always be coming from old people, because we know that majority of the ANC's vote comes from rural communities, and if rural youth, for instance, is not participating within the processes, that means that we will always be led by elders, and we won't actively participate within the structures of governance. Take it for consideration, for instance, in areas like Philippi, Lower Crossroads, Khayelitsha and Nyanga, you'd find that most people who actively participate within ANC processes are older people, meaning that the generational mission of the Youth League, which is ensuring more active participants coming from the youth in politics, is not being realized. And I think also it's the way in which the politics of the country have been structured, which structurally excludes youth from the process.
Isn't that where the Youth League then of the ruling party comes in to sway and educate young people about voting?
But also do remember that for quite a long time there was a vacuum when it comes to the Youth League leadership, and we only got official leadership this year, and we've already had a mandate and a plan of action in place to ensure that we get youth actively participating within governance processes, not only in governance processes but activism and holding government accountable to ensuring that they actually pull through on the promises that they're making, right? As the Youth League, you'd find that the position that we took at the current moment, take the Pravin Gordhan issue, for instance, we are saying we're holding those leaders accountable to the fact that there's resolutions that are taken by the organization. They need to ensure that they hold on to those resolutions and implement them, and not only ensuring that they implement the ones that they are comfortable with on their end.
And hence not wanting to apologize.
Hence we are not apologizing, because we feel like what the president of the Youth League stated is exactly the truth as it is. We feel that the ANC can exhaust a lot of multiple options when it comes to making these state-owned entities viable. There's a variety of skills when it comes to the organization. There's a variety of skills within the organization that can help those state-owned entities get to a point where they're economically viable and get to assist our communities. Because if we're selling off those state-owned entities, that means we are moving fully towards capitalism, and we've seen how that doesn't work out for our people, because majority of the country comes from underprivileged communities. That means they would then be structurally taken out from participating in the economy, and that's something that we don't want to do. That's exactly why then we're saying we don't believe that the president should apologize to Pravin Gordhan, because he stated exactly what the youth of the country believes, and it's the narrative that everyone who is young in the country believes. Pravin Gordhan is a problem, and we need to hold him accountable to that.
The youth of the country, many of them unemployed, What is your message to them? Because it contributes to the voter apathy as we build up to 2024. What is the message of the Youth League, especially considering that young people are not just, not wanting to go to the polls, but they're depressed, they're going through mental issues where they're feeling despondent?
What I like to say to young people is they need to start coming to participate actively in the conversation, because we can't forcefully say this is the plan of action that we will be rolling out for young people. We need to ensure that we have more young people that actively come into the organization to ensure that we push for the mandate of young people internally first, so that we can then drive that notion of changing governance to be more younger within the structures of the ANC.
Athenkosi, Hashe, I'd like to continue the conversation, but I'm sure we are running out of time. The conference is well underway, Hugo, and we're expecting the regional leadership of the Dullah Omar region to be appointed. At least by tomorrow we'll know who the top 5 is here in the Cape Metro.
Just very quickly, Ate, before we let you go, what are some of the key issues you think will be discussed, or certainly some of the expectations by those delegates in this conference this evening?
Well, you know that the support of the African National Congress generally in the Western Cape has dwindled over the years. And if you look at the results from the municipal elections and the by-elections that have been taking place, you'll see that they've been on a downward trajectory. Now, what they are trying to do here is tackle some of those issues that have resulted to the poor electoral performance. And one of those crucial things then is factionalism. How do they then unite as the African National Congress in order to have strong leadership that will be an opposition to the ruling party, which is the Democratic Alliance in the Western Cape? One of the issues that the Secretary General of the ANC, Fikile Mbalula, said during the long-awaited provincial conference not so long ago in June, he was imploring them to be an a political party in opposition to raise some of the issues, particularly that are affecting communities that feel left behind and neglected by the Democratic Alliance. So they'll have to deal with uniting the organization from leadership level and to ensure that they have strong branches, because one of the reasons why the Dullah Omar region was disbanded is the poor performance of the branches. So what the interim provincial committee, which was appointed before the new ANC leadership here in the Western Cape, what they were tasked to do is to ensure that they build the ANC in the Western Cape from ground up, from branches all the way through all those regions that make up the ANC in the Western Cape.
Athenkosi coming to us from the Dullah Omar Regional Conference.